We're live, I just can't get a hold of him. It just keeps cutting off on me. Okay.
All right, you good? I'm going to call this regular monthly meeting to order. Please stand to salute the nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In attendance this evening are Supervisors Fisher, Agizio, Savavic, and Fleer. In addition, Township Manager Don Januso, Jack King, Director of Planning and Assistant Township Manager, Sean Bukovinsky, Chief of Police, Fire Chief Noel McMillan, Engineer Joe Seitz of the Gateway Engineers, and Township Solicitor Gretchen Moore, and Bill Baudorf, Director of Public Works. Comments will be taken at this time for any item to be voted on by the board that appears on the agenda. General Township comments or questions will be addressed after the Board of Supervisors, discussion of old business. Bear with me 1 second, we're trying to get Supervisor. Can you hear, Tom?
Yeah, I'm sorry about this.
You're okay. I have you on my phone, so I'll mute you unless you want to talk.
Crystal clear.
Okay. Sorry. Also in attendance this evening is now Supervisor Cassiola via phone. I'm not going to read that to you. Is there anybody who has any comments for anything that's going to be on the agenda this evening? Don't forget, oh, sorry. Sorry, I didn't see you coming.
Yeah, Kevin Camerson, 15 Swahart Road. I just got a question about Resolution 152. How many like new houses are coming in or on phase 3 there?
We can ask that question when it comes up. Is that your only?
Well, because my question is, how many more houses are we going to keep adding and just have a single entrance coming in? I mean, phase 3 is not going to tie into Burnside?
No, it's what phase, I forget what phase 4? Phase 3B. Yeah, 3B ties into Burnside.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I still like to know how many houses we keep adding houses.
He'll get that information to you before we vote.
Hi, Kara Sheridan, 58 North DePauli. Just quickly wanted to know before you vote on it if you could share any extra information about the settlement agreement 154/2021.
We can go through it when we get to it, but we worked, Supervisors Fleer and Cassiola attended a settlement meeting with our solicitor, Gretchen Moore, and in-house counsel with Range and some of their representatives. It was very productive and actually really great meeting, and they came out of it with a settlement. And it provides for a little bit of what they want and quite honestly a lot of what we wanted. And we can walk through when we get to that point the actual things that were negotiated, but I think that overall most people will be very happy with what came about. You're welcome. Any other questions before we move on? I wanted to point out quickly for those of you that haven't already signed up for Civic Ready, when we had the flooding from the hurricane last week, for those of you that had signed up for Civic Ready, you got a notification by your choice phone, email, or whatever about some of the things that were going on. It worked wonderfully. So if you have not done it yet already, I would highly recommend that you go to the township's website and sign up for emergency notifications. It will allow us at the township, specifically our assistant assistant manager, Jack King, to notify you in case you need to know things that are going on. So you can just go to the township website and sign up straight from there. It's very easy to do. Sorry, little plug for Civic Ready. There's a new start time for the Cecil Township Historical Society. We'll meet on Wednesday, September 15th at 7:30 in the municipal building. And Jordan Tax Service will collect the Kennewick Millen School tax at the municipal building on Tuesday, September 21st from 9 to noon, Friday, September 24th from 9 to noon, and Tuesday, September 28th from 1 to 4. Cecil Township's 33rd Annual Fall Festival, Saturday, September 25th from 11 to 7, and Sunday, September 26th from 10 to 6. Resolutions, 147, 2021, consider application 2021-0026 for the Kasevich Consolidation Plan, location 74 Wilson Avenue, R2 Medium Density Residential Zoning District, applicant Irna Kasevich. The Planning Commission recommended approval on August 19, 2021.
Thank you. I have up here for you that it's this very simple.
If you could do me a favor and just talk into the microphone so they can hear you. Jack, is there one he can hold? There you go. Thank you.
Hear me now?
Nope,
Okay.
you're good.
Sorry. Okay, this is a simple consolidation of two small lots on Wilson Road, as I've put up there on the screen for you to see. All of our technical comments have been addressed.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
I'll make,
Se-
moved
second.
and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. It's just a little behind on there. 148, 2021, consider application 2021-0027 for the Montour Trail Phase 46 site plan contingent upon addressing comments from the township engineer. Location, McConnell Road, parking lot, P Park, Recreation and Athletic Zoning District, applicant Montour Trail Council. The Planning Commission recommended approval with the contingency on August 19, 2021.
Okay, here I put the plan up here. It's for the additional approximately about 10 parking spaces. There's a few items that have to be addressed regarding a cost estimate and one other little thing, but all our other comments have been addressed in the plans in order for consideration.
What's the contingency?
The one was the again, an engineer's cost estimate put together for bonding. Oops, got the wrong folder. Excuse me. And stormwater operation and maintenance agreement needs to be executed.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. 149, 2021, consider application 2021-0028 for the Windsor Woods revised parcel A2 subdivision plan. Location, Windsor Woods Development, parcel A2, R1 Low Density Residential Zoning District, applicant Windsor Woods LLC. The Planning Commission recommended approval on August 19, 2021.
Okay. This is for the subdivision and from Windsor Woods of that small, narrow strip that's in the existing property on Windsor Woods to be conveyed to the adjacent property owner, Kathy Perry. All of our technical comments have been addressed.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
What I have.
150, 2021, consider approval of pay application number 2 in the amount of $17,010 to Thornberry, Inc. for work to date on the Ridgewood Drive Bridge. Okay. Okay. I'll make a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. 151, 2021, consider approval pay application number 2 in the amount of $111,755 to Independent Enterprises, Inc. for work to date on the Creedmoor Street Bridge.
Again, this is application number 2, and we're recommending payment for this work, for work completed to date in the amount of $111,755.
I make a motion.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
The
Abstain.
bridge is complete and open, too.
It's complete and open. That's good. 4 in favor, 1 abstention, Supervisor Akizio. 152, 2021, consider developer's request for revisions to the existing PRD conditions for the McConnell's Trails development as previously set forth by the Board of Supervisors as follows. Current condition number 5, on or before the application of building permits for lots to be constructed in Phase 3 of the PRD, the developer shall install improvements at the intersection of Burnside Road and Muse Bishop Road as outlined. Request to change to condition number 5, on or before the application of building permits for lots to be constructed in Phase 3B of the PRD, the developer shall install improvements at the intersection of Burnside Road and Muse Bishop Road as outlined. Current condition number 8, and number 8.3.3. On or before the application of building permits for lots to be constructed in Phase 3 of the PRD, the developer shall be responsible for upgrades to McConnell Road from the intersection of Muse Bishop Road to 100 feet east of entrance. Request change to condition number 8 and number 8.3.3. On or before the application of building permits for lots to be constructed in Phase 3B of the PRD, the developer shall either be responsible for upgrades to McConnell Road from the intersection of Muse Bishop to 100 feet east of the entrance, or posting satisfactory financial security for the improvement. That was a lot.
Just as a side note, the purpose of this
Oh, sorry.
is that the developer has taken Phase 3 and separated into Phase 3A and 3B. And Dan is recommending these conditions to be approved for the off-site improvements, since Phase 3 will be completed after the majority of the site and home constructed is completed. So that's his recommendation.
Before we, you want to answer Mr. Camerson's question?
Grant Showering with PVE. To answer your question, yes, we'll be making the connection to Burnside. We're going to be doing that as part of 3B. So the intent is that 3A will most likely pave in the spring of 2020, and then 3B will pave in the fall of 2020. So that by the time that people are moving into 3A...
Wait, hold on. You're like me. I say that all the time. I get stuck in 2022, or in 2020 also, I should say. So spring of 2022.
2022.
I do that all the time. It's like the
There
year
was a
that
long
won't,
pause at 2020.
yeah, it's the year that won't go away.
My apologies, 2022. So by the time people are moving into 3A, the connection down to 3B to Burnside will be made.
Okay. Mr. Camerson, does that answer your question? Okay.
Sorry, gentleman in the back, my bad.
Do I have
Thought it was
do
him.
you have any comments? Go ahead.
Yes, I have a comment. I don't agree with this at all. How many townhouses you building back there? 65 or something like that?
There's a total of 68 within 3A. There's 28 single families, and there's 40 towns.
And you're going to dump all the traffic onto McConnell Road?
Currently, that is where traffic is going, but based on the schedule, Phase 3A will pave in the spring of 2022.
You guys come here and sell one product, and then you keep changing and keep changing. I asked you guys to do one thing, and you still haven't done it. All the ponds are completely filled to the top. There's little kids down there throwing rocks in them. I mean, 3 and 4 years old. They can't even read a no trespassing sign. And you guys haven't addressed that at all. I say we don't do this, that you open it all the way through the way you proposed it.
What's the reason for the request?
It's due to the lending requirements right now. We had to do it in Phase 2. There's only so many lots that they will permit for the lending requirements. So when we moved into Phase 2, we had to split it, and we have to do the same thing for Phase 3.
So I'm not saying it's going to happen, but say the board doesn't approve these requested changes, then what?
I do not know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know how that will impact our lending. At this point in time, with my knowledge of the situation, I don't think lending would go through. So I think that this is why I understand the concern. The ultimate plan is still being executed, and that we are doing the improvements to Burnside and Muse Bishop, as well as the improvements to McConnell.
When?
The summer of
Your truck's got every sidewalk crushed and broken. Every one, every
To
radius.
my knowledge, they've been fixed.
No, they haven't. I
Well,
was up there
haven't been out- I
yesterday.
haven't been out there recently, so if there's something that occurred recently, I cannot speak.
I can take you right now, take you up and show you 4 of them that are broken.
Okay.
Well, let's
The
finish
handicap
meeting.
ramps haven't been installed, as you said you were gonna do. None of them. What you have in here are not handicap ramps.
To answer the first question, the improvements to Burnside and Muse Bishop are going to be done in the summer of 2022. In terms of the stormwater ponds and the handicap ramps, all I can say at this point in time is I can check in with the developer and see what their plan is for those items, and then have them reach out to you.
So,
I've been told that you guys were gonna correct the ponds, and you haven't. And you figure you're gonna dump, what, maybe another 100 cars a day onto McConnell? I mean, if you're gonna have 68 townhouses and 28 homes, probably more cars than that.
And with the schedule that we hope to follow, by the time people are moving into 3A, that connection down to Burnside will be made. So it's going to take 4 to 6 months to build homes. So if we're paving in the spring of 2022 for 3A, by the time people are actually moving into 3A, 3B will be completed construction and will be paving down. So then they would have 2 outlets. It's also good because the Burnside Muse Bishop improvements will be done during the summer, where it limits the impacts to the school district.
I just totally don't agree with none of it. It's not what you sold
I
here.
will-
It's not what you sold us.
The items that you noted with the ADA and the stormwater, I will check in on that and get an answer for you.
make sure you do the handicap, because you had to go back and redo the sidewalks and the overlook because they were not ADA compliant. So I'd hate to see you have to go back, do them, and then have to redo them again.
I have a question. The scope of work on McConnell Road, 100 feet east of the entrance, didn't we just recently do paving there? Can you expand on this?
I believe the work you're citing is that there was a widening to help with the turning movements. And what Mr. Fleer is commenting on with the turning movements of trucks coming in, they were damaging the entrance. So there was a widening that occurred there. What's going to occur as part of the Phase 3B approvals we're requesting is that McConnell Road will be milled and repaved for the entirety 100 feet east of our development. So from the intersection of McConnell and Muse Bishop to 100 feet east of our entrance.
Okay, thank you.
So quite honestly, I don't like the "or" at the end of 8 and 8 requested change, where you're saying "or posting satisfactory financial security for the improvement." The agreement always was that you would make the improvement. If you're posting financial security, for what? For what specified period of time? Like for whom? For who to take over?
I believe the thought process was that as construction continues, rather than investing the money in that mill and repave activity, that we would potentially post security if we were going to be pulling building permits in 3B, so that work could be done after, so the risk of any damage happening after would be low.
But that's kind of opposite of what you just said. You're saying that the connection's going to be made as you're finishing out 3A, so that, because you're going to be paving 3B, but now you're saying you don't want to run over it, mill and pave while you're doing 3B.
Talking about McConnell, correct? McConnell.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if the agreement was that you do the upgrades to McConnell Road at the intersection of Muse Bishop and 50 feet east of the entrance, then you do the improvements. Like, there's no, like, hey, we're gonna post it, or there needs to be a time frame in there that says you have so many months in order to complete the work, not just like this never-ending posting of financial security.
Cindy,
Yes.
I don't have a problem with pushing it to 3B, but I agree with you. I still think they need to do the pavement themselves and not talk about posting a bond.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear everything.
He
you
said he agrees with me, that he's okay with pushing it to 3B, which I am too, but I don't, neither does Tom, want you to post financial security. Like, you're either gonna do the improvements or you're not. I don't wanna, Eric, do you have a opinion on that?
Do we have a motion and a second?
No.
No. I would probably lean towards tabling it to get Ronnie his answer and also addressing that issue.
To get his answer to what?
Ronnie's answer on the water retention ponds. So I would make a motion to table.
Before that, if I could.
Well, hold on. We have to be careful, though, because Ron's questions aren't directly related to the changes here. So I think that we need to hold you accountable, and we can take a second motion to hold you accountable to the things that Supervisor Fleer's talking about, but that's separate from what's right here. So we have to be careful mixing the two.
I agree, that's separate, and my question was also going to be the specifics of what you were looking to occur. ADA ramp is clear. The ADA ramps are clear. That's clear. The stormwater item is not. So I think first, let's address this, and then I agree we can do that after.
So hold on, let's quickly, because I think we can solve this. Let's set a meeting with you, Supervisor Fleer, Dan Dizeroff of Gateway, and Bill Bodorf, our Director of Public Works, to work out the water issues that Supervisor Fleer is referring to. Are you okay with that, Ron?
I'd like the DEP to be there.
That's fine. Whomever you, more,
It's going to be very difficult. They don't come to meetings right now.
right.
Yes, they do.
We can ask.
We can ask.
We can ask.
Well, we can ask Washington Conservation District.
Yeah. So we can, let's set that up to address his problems. Please make sure that the ADA ramps are in your sidewalks, and
Okay.
we will be following up. Bill, you'll keep an eye on that, and then, go ahead. Please. It should. Is it on the bottom? Press the bottom.
speak loud enough. Let me just jump in here real quick, because I had something I wanted to bring towards
The only problem is the live, hold on, Bill, the live feed isn't going to pick it up if you're just talking. It's on the bottom, isn't it? Well, there you go. Woo.
I'm gonna sing a little bit. Anyway, something that I was gonna bring up tonight in my commentaries, or in my comments, was the fact that we are going to be closing Coomer Road tomorrow, Wednesday, the 8th of September. It was recommended that we close that ramp coming off Muse Bishop Road down to Coomer back in, I believe it was May. We did some temporary repairs to hold it in until the school year was out. Those repairs lasted longer than we expected. We have always had a detour route for its closure in place that was put together by Mike Aberman of Gateway. We have the signs already assembled and ready to be put up. We were just waiting to see how long this would last. After last week's rain, it was lubricated again with that rainfall, and it started moving again. So I notified Jordan Mayer, the transportation director with Canamac last Thursday, so that he would have some lead time to change his bus routes around. But we're going to be closing that for an indefinite period. Now, one of the things that we had discussed prior was the coordination of the East Bishop and Burnside intersection improvement with Coomer Road, the possible realignment there. Now, I don't know that we've actually worked out the details of that yet. I'm just not sure. I can't speak for Gateway, but that was one of the thoughts that Dan Dizeroff and Joe Seitz had come up, discussed with Dawn and I. So no formal plans have been, I haven't seen any, but that's something to consider in voting on this. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing those intersection improvements at Muse Bishop Road and Burnside delayed until next spring, until we have time to take a look at it and see if there's a benefit for all concerned with the
So
possible realignment of Coomer.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, you want to see this delayed so that you can have
Yes.
the time to?
Yes,
Okay,
I wouldn't be opposed to it for that reason.
okay, makes sense. Thank you. So I think we just have to be careful. So I think if you take out the part where it says posting satisfactory financial security for the improvement, let me reread that one more time.
I don't mind it being there, just put a timeline with it or date associated with that.
How long?
I don't know, but maybe let legal counsel look at it. I would recommend tabling it again.
I don't think
It's
it
gonna
needs to
take them a
be.
year to build them
I don't think
townhouses
it
and
needs to
them
be tabled.
other houses at least.
You think it needs to be tabled? Yeah, me either.
But if
That's if
the
the economy
improvement,
don't go
the
bad.
improvement still occurs, whether it's financial security or not, correct? I mean,
But the problem with, and you and I, we've been doing this long enough to understand that financial security could put it out a significant number of years. Like, we still have money from companies who owe us things from 5 years ago. So for me, like, that just gives you years down the line to potentially do this instead of doing it in the time frame that we expected, which was sometime in phase 3. Now, I understand that maybe you can't do it before phase 3A or during phase 3A, but I think it needs to be done before you can move on from B. So Eric asked for a motion on the to table.
They could pave the road and do the time. They don't have to put all the utilities in, just so the road's open all the way through.
Right.
Yeah, the only reason for my hesitation is that I'm looking at, it's tied to the building permits, and I understand the concern with the timing. I don't know what an acceptable time frame could be placed on the financial security.
I mean, but if we're issuing,
I can't answer that right now.
if we're issuing building permits, people are moving. You're building a
Correct.
home and people are moving in, and the
Correct.
road still isn't done. So then you still have the issue of one exit, one entrance, which the whole issue was people having multiple ingress and egress.
Well, if 3B's paved, then they have the Summer, Burnside, Muse Bishop is going to be complete, right? And then 3B will be paved in fall, so they would have the out. I guess my question is the financial security and the reasoning. And my understanding of it was it was being placed so that we pulled 3B building permits, and I'm putting words in about the township didn't want traffic going on McConnell, we could post the financial security to prevent that from happening and doing the improvements too soon.
So let's do this. I'm not inclined to approve it. Your choice that way. I don't think Supervisor Cassiola is either. We can take it out and take a vote on it this evening, or we can table it and address it later. 3B's so far down the road, you could come back next month and re-explain to us why that's necessary if you feel inclined to do so. But I think right now, the only way this is going to pass is if we take out that.
As long as that doesn't cause any issue, I think that that's a good idea. If we can take out the financial security now,
Okay.
and if it's an issue, when we come back before the board for final approval of 3A,
Yep.
if we need to amend it at that point, we can hear that before 3A is decided upon.
Yep.
That works.
Okay. So do I have a motion?
I have a
to-
motion on the table.
I'm sorry.
Deal with that, please.
You did, you're right. There's a motion to table. Is there a second? Dies for lack of a second. I'll make
Wait,
them,
what was that for? The table?
yeah.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Wait, you want it tabled, Tom?
I don't, yeah, if, they're not gonna move to 3B like you said anyway in 1 month.
Well, that is true. But this wraps up 3A. Do you want these in two separate changes? Because the condition for 5 change is for 3, nope. It's for 3A. No, it's for 3B. Okay,
Both for 3B.
yeah. It's been, okay, so let's read that. There's a motion and a second to table. All those in favor of tabling signify by saying aye.
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 It's tabled for, well, it'll be on the agenda next month.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. 153, 2021. Consider ratifying the filing of an appeal of case number 2020-6277, Range Resources Appalachia LLC versus Cecil Township, Bernard Schultz well pad. For those of you that aren't aware, we got a judge's decision on the appeal of our approval with conditions for the Bernard Schultz well pad. And I don't remember who came to whom about, do you want to talk about it?
Sure,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So there was an order of court dated July 2nd of this year. Any appeal would need to be filed by August 2nd. Actually, before that, but August 2nd happened to be a Monday, which was the last day to appeal, which was in advance of the board's formal meeting. During that time period, in between the filing, the judge filing the appeal and that date, Range Resources had filed an appeal of that order. And they called me and they called it a protective appeal with the hopes to have some settlement discussions. So obviously to protect the township's rights, the township wanted to appeal as well. Now that appeal had to be formally filed, as I said, the day before the meeting that night. So I filed it because I had the authority to file it. There was some question as to whether I had the authority or not. And of course, after you have to do something like that because of timing, you want to ratify anyway. But there was a question raised as to my authority to file that. So tonight, the board would just be ratifying the fact that they're approving that appeal to be filed. And you'll also see in the next motion that it's getting settled and wrapped up tonight as well. So.
You want to talk about the settlement too, or vote and then?
Yeah, we could vote on that one, and then we could raise
Okay.
the.
Do I have a motion to approve 153, 2021?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Eric, did he say? Did you say aye?
You asked for aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Tom, did you say aye? Sorry. Okay, so 4.
Tom said what?
He said yes. 154, 2021, consider entering into settlement agreement between Range Resources Appalachia LLC and Cecil Township related to case number 2020-6277. That's what I started talking about, which is we, Supervisors Fleer and Cassiola went to a settlement meeting with members of Range as counsel, along with Gretchen, to represent the board, and negotiated a very, thick settlement agreement with Range. Some of the conditions on the initial appeal we won, some of the conditions they won. We sat down, and not we, Supervisors Cassiola and Fleer sat down and talked about some things that were important to the township, and Range brought to light some things that were important to them. The three main things that were negotiated were Range at their expense is going to pay for air quality monitoring, that the township will be a client of the company, so therefore we have access to the direct data from the air quality monitoring, as well as they will as well. The second thing was an emergency notification system. That was something that was pushed for in the initial conditional use, and we actually won in court. There just needed to be some clarification about how that system worked and who was notified and how people got notified. That was upheld in court. They were allowed notification within 3,000 feet. And we're going to continue to do that. We found a company, not we, Range found a company that we actually really like, and we're going to use so that if you're within so many feet of the well and you're notified whether you need to shelter in place, whether you need to leave, whatever you need to do, because sometimes those minutes matter. And then again, I keep forgetting about the third thing. What am I forgetting?
The extension on the start of the grading. So initially, so the judge upheld our original condition, which was that under our conditional use process, under 403H, you have to actually kind of put a shovel in the ground before 1 year after your conditional use approval. Otherwise, if you need additional time, you come back to this board and you can seek additional time. And this board does have the authority to grant up to an additional year of time to kind of get started. So in the case of a well, that date is kind of determined when they start grading for the construction of the well pad. So that initial date fell in, did I see that?
Yeah, it's right here. The township, okay. October 5th, 2022 to commence grading.
Okay, yes. So the board essentially is extending it to October 5th, 2022, so that giving them the additional year that they would have the ability to extend that if Range had come back to them before the end of the first year, which hasn't come up yet either. That would be October of this year.
It doesn't actually grant them any additional time. They have the same, it just takes out that approval process, which 9.5 times out of 10 happens anyways. So it just gives them, and then that's their drop dead date, essentially. They either put a shovel in the ground and grade, or the approval goes away.
Right, so they don't have to come back to this board at next month's meeting, or I guess technically they might be coming at this month's meeting to formally ask this board.
Right. And then,
And then some of the other conditions were cleaned up or added back in. For example, they agreed to add the prohibition on not the prohibition, that they wouldn't use Jake brakes, and I forget what the language is. But we had asked for it to be a prohibition, and the judge said it can't be a prohibition, but it can be, strongly discouraged, and they're willing to put that back in. And we just cleaned up a couple other conditions and added some detail to make things clear.
just for clarification too, I'll read quickly the part that says air monitoring. It says the parties agree to engage in a mutually agreed upon entity at Range's sole expense to conduct air monitoring, including establishing a baseline vertical drilling, horizontal drilling, and hydraulic fracturing at the well pad. The parties agree that the mutually agreed upon entity will utilize an accredited laboratory and it will conduct the air monitoring at 4 cardinal points in accordance with 1, EPA methods 328A and 325B, and 2, the air monitoring plan as more fully described in Exhibit B. The entity will be jointly engaged. Reporting and resulting of the monitoring shall be made directly to the parties at regular intervals as set forth in Exhibit B and upon request from either party. That was actually something that we had lost in court, and we were essentially given it back, which is great. Do you want to hear? I can read you the emergency notification thing too, or you can just come get it, come look at it if you want to. Anything else?
There was an amendment under number 4. First 50 feet proposed access road shall be paved with asphalt. Is this something we're considering for other industries as well, or like the turnpike? I mean, that's intended to knock the dirt off of the trucks
This has
before they
pretty
get
much
on the
been a
road.
standard in their industry. They've been doing this on all the well pads and other townships and that.
I thought they used stone.
No, they're paving. Some of them, they pave a lot further than that.
He's looking at
This was a very good meeting, and we agreed that this is going to be what we go by now. It's going to be a cookie cutter. They go come in for another well. They know what they got to do, and we know what we got to do. They know what to expect, and we know what to expect. It was a pleasant meeting. The gentleman sitting right there in a white shirt, I can't remember his name. He's a real tall guy. He's only 6'8.5".
Ron's very obsessed with your height. He continually tells us how
But
tall you are.
now, it's going to save us legal fees. It's going to save them legal fees, a lot of legal fees. I mean, Range is very much willing to work with us, whatever we want. And they've improved a lot, and I think they're doing a pretty damn good job anymore.
Okay. So do I have a motion on 154, 2021?
I'll make a motion.
Have a second? It's been moved and
I'll
seconded.
second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Passes 5-0. 155, 2021, consider adding gravel to the parking area of the Sorrenzia lot next to the Dollar General store for the 2021 Fall Festival attendees at an approximate cost of $2,000. Jack, jump in at any point. They're going to let us use the lot next to the Dollar General for parking for the Fall Festival, which is great because we need it. But they're asking that we put gravel down, which I think is fair. So the cost to put the gravel down is $2,000. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Was that an aye, Tom?
Aye.
Okay. Passes 5-0. 156, 2021, consider putting signage for the Lawrence Park at a cost not to exceed $500. That seems like a lot for signage. No? So it's for more than just the sign? Oh, gotcha.
Side.
Okay.
Is it going to be like a message board, like up
It's
here?
going to be like the other ones we have in the other parks, like Hendersonville, Cecil Park here. It's going to provide a little background information, the origins of the park, how we came about to own it. Pittsburgh Coal donated it. There's a few other things that I need to dig up. My computer's down right now, but I have some of that information available. that we can put on the sign over there in Lawrence Park. And Joe Capola usually makes this up. It'll be the same color, background and letterings we have to be consistent with all of our park theme, all right?
I like that. Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Do you have a
All-
discussion, or is it possible, Bill, that we could see that before it gets created? Could we see the language that you're going to put on it, please? Send it to the board? Thank you.
Not for approval, though, I mean.
No, I just would like to see it before. You said the background and the console and whatever in the history. Please, may we look at that? Thank you.
Okay. It's, I forget, has it been moved and seconded? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye. Passes 5-0. 157, 2021, consider setting a comprehensive plan workshop date on Monday, September 27, 2021, at 7 PM. Is that a, what, Tom? It's been moved. I don't know if we actually have to take a vote on it. I think we're just setting a comprehensive plan workshop date.
This is not the public hearing.
No,
Okay.
just a workshop.
Okay.
So there will be, if you're okay with it, there will be a comprehensive plan workshop on Monday, September 27th at 7 PM in the Township Building. 158, 2021, consider the Board of Supervisors' regular monthly minutes from the Monday, August 2nd, 2021, Cecil Township Board of Supervisors' regular monthly meeting. I'll make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. 159, 2021, consider the minutes from the Tuesday, August 16, 2021 special meeting of the Cecil Township Board of Supervisors. I'll make a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 5-0. 160, 2021, consider the general fund invoices from August 1st through August 31st, 2021. I'll second. Moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. 5-0. Board of Supervisors, anybody have new business before we move on to old business?
I have just a new thing I'd like to ask the board to consider.
Can you hear him?
Authorizing do a preliminary for a stormwater system for the Lawrence Village, since the sewer, the property is going to be torn up for the sewer project. Just consider a preliminary study. Dan said it should be between $8,000 and $10,000.
I mean, is this the
Is it an
right
action
time?
item?
Yeah.
Well, because you're gonna have to follow his new rules if it is an action item, or was that just for information?
Yeah, I mean, we can't take a vote on it tonight because there's new rules that require us to not take action on items 24 hours in advance.
Right, I just want to bring it up for them to think about it for next month.
Okay, so think about Tom's request to ask Gateway Engineers to do a study at the cost of $8,000 to $10,000.
There was
Why
also,
would we do that when sewer's gotta be put in there first? And it's probably gonna be a couple-year job to do the sewers. It ain't gonna be no quick job.
Joe, before we take action on this, can you or Dan together explain why we should or shouldn't do this?
Let's look at it, we'll get you an explanation.
Okay.
Okay.
there was also I believe it was 19 to 2 that were in favor of investigating it, or at least looking at it. Those were the residents of Lawrence that raised hands to show their favor of looking into it. So just to investigate it, and it's something that could be done when the streets are tore up and address the stormwater project.
I mean, just for clarity and fairness, there's more than 21 people in the town of Lawrence, so I don't know that that's necessary.
I'm just giving you the results. It was 19 to 2. 19 people were in favor of investigating the stormwater project.
But the way you would do that would be, let the municipal authority put their sewers in, then come in right after and do your stormwater management, then split the cost of all the paving with municipal authority in the township.
in any case, no action can be taken this evening. So we would just ask Joe and Dan to give us an explanation of what makes the most sense related to that specific item. Okay, you're good with that?
Yep.
Okay, moving on to, does anybody have any new business? Oh, before I forget, if you live in the town of Muse, great news, they have officially, how did he word it? I can't get my computer to work, but signed an agreement with the post office.
Acquired the funding.
I'm sorry?
They were able to acquire the funding.
Talk about
I
it.
talked with Dave Wolf from the U.S. Postal Service Friday night, and he said he needed an area of $50,000 to renovate the hall, and he said he was going to do everything he could, so he moved kind of fast.
Yeah, and there was actually an announcement, bear with me, we're having internet issues here this evening, but there was an announcement, I gotta go back. The post office is gonna be located in the lower part of the existing fire building, so residents of Muse are getting their post office back, which is great news. And the expectation is it will start in October, so not too far away. Anybody else have new business? Okay. And then, oh, go ahead. You want to bring it up? Go ahead. We still,
Ken McMillan isn't fulfilling what they were supposed to do over at Klinger Park.
Hannah McMillan Soccer.
Soccer, not even close. And we don't know what to do with it.
So, you guys know this. I've been beating a dead horse for months now. For years now. We've been trying to get Hannah McMillan Soccer to hold up their end of the bargain at Klinger Park. There was a master plan. There was a build out. They have been beyond difficult to work with, specifically a few very specific people within that organization, not the organization as a whole. And unfortunately, our hands are tied even related to grant applications. We need their agreement, we need their cooperation, and they refuse to do any of it. And so this isn't really an action, and we're not asking you to do anything, but maybe Gretchen, if you could take a minute and look through the agreement and give us some items that we can either hold their feet to the fire to force them to move forward, or we can break or amend the agreement going forward, because we owe the residents of Cecil what we promised them 10 years ago, or we owe them to get out of it, because at this point, it's literally just grass. And I drove up there 4 nights this past week, last week, and then already this week, and literally there wasn't a single child on it. And I have video if anybody wants to see it from the past year. I will just randomly, as I'm driving around, drive up there. It's not being utilized. And so it either needs to be sold so that the township can get money back and utilize it for another project, or we need to force Hannah McMillan Soccer to hold up their end of the agreement. But either way, something has to be done. Thank you for reminding me. Okay,
There's
moving.
one more item. It was just brought to my attention by a resident, and I heard it one time previously, but it was in regards to possibly putting up litter signs with a penalty through the area.
Yeah,
Just want to bring it to the board and see if you guys want to work with that or address it. I
hate
did share with Dawn, though, too, a video of the refuse trucks dumping their truck while they're continuing to move to the next location, and that was causing some litter.
Did we
So-
address that with waste management?
We'll see to have it addressed, but that was just an item that was brought up.
Yeah, I would be all for that. I hate the garbage everywhere. Moving on to old business. Discuss Cecil Township sign ordinance. Ron, that was the sign ordinance.
Yeah, I think we have an ordinance that was drawn up, or Gretchen, where did you get that from? Another township, or
It's kind of
a mix of them?
It's kind of a mix, and it's tailored for Cecil, yes.
Well, it's already illegal to put anything on a telephone pole, any kind of signs. And we're getting flooded with signs everywhere pushing around. I mean, even look outside our building, and if you really want to see it, go out on South Point Boulevard where it hits Morganza Road. There must be 30, 40 signs there, and they just keep coming for everything. And I'd like to eliminate all the push-in signs, all the signs.
Yeah, there needs to be accountability. What if we add that as a discussion item on the 27th when we're here for the comprehensive plan workshop? Are you okay with that? It'll give you guys the opportunity to re-review that sign ordinance. Gretchen, can you send it around again,
Yeah,
just to make
yes.
sure? Thank you.
Can we give Bill permission to have his men any signs that are on telephone poles to take them down?
For sure. If you see signs hanging on telephone poles, take them down. Thank you. You don't have to like go out of your way, but if you happen to see them. Nope. We don't. Can you drive in your police vehicle around just pulling signs up? Yeah, in your personal vehicle, even better. And then another old business, discuss request by Cecil number 3, VFC, to move forward with replacement of their fire station. I can't even remember, 6 months ago, we asked them to pause for a second. They were in the process of moving forward with a new fire station. We asked them to pause for a second. They very graciously agreed and have been very patiently waiting for the past few months for us to kind of get our act together and figure things out. They're asking for us to rescind that request, and there's no formal action item that needs to be done, but if the board members are okay with it, we will have Dawn send a letter saying we are formally rescinding that request and move forward. Go for it. Have fun. Is everybody okay with that? Sounds good. Any other citizens' general comments and questions? Get us home early tonight.
I just had one question about this new business, we were talking about 19 to 2 people voted for something about in Lawrence. I don't know. I'm just curious where that information came from, because I've talked to a lot of people in Lawrence, and were people in Lawrence invited to this discussion, or like where do those numbers come from? I was just curious.
Yeah. It was a meeting that the residents of Lawrence had, and Pastor Jim was not able to make it. He was in the hospital, and I ended up sharing that and just bringing some issues up to the residents that Tommy and I had agreed to assist with getting a hold of certain persons from Lawrence through the municipal authority.
Okay, so I was just curious if all the residents of Lawrence were invited to attend this meeting, or if it was a subset of residents. I'm just trying to make sure that if people are voting on things that are then coming before the board, that all the residents of Lawrence were informed about this community meeting.
As best as we could. I think there were advertising that was done at the post office, so typically anyone that gets their mail at the post office would have seen it, and then some flyers were put around the neighborhoods.
But not to all the residents?
I'm not certain. I didn't
Or
count.
any social media advertisement of any sort?
I didn't count, and I've been off social media for a while now.
Okay. I was just curious. All I'm saying is that meeting, it's possible that there were residents of Lawrence that were not aware of that meeting who were unable to attend. So I would just say, if you're having community meetings, to consider, because I have friends in Lawrence and they never said anything to me. Most of the time they tell me about things like that and ask if they should go or not. So I'm just making a point that it sounds like it was not anything I had heard of or been aware of. So I'm just curious that if we're going to have community meetings and call them as such, that all members of the community are informed about them.
I also have a quick question, though. You said that you and Tom were asked to do what through the municipal authority?
Tom, are you still on the phone? Do you want to address it? So there were maybe 60 persons that it was brought up at the municipal authority meeting that they didn't have agreements from. So knowing a bunch of people in that community, our attempt was to get those people to call, and this may be even a good commercial break, call the 724-746-4848 and speak with Greg Januso or Walt Oshinsky and get it to the next level and see what they were missing or what was lacking as far as the 60 residents that were missing at that meeting.
Well, hold on a second, because I actually asked somebody from the municipal authority if anybody from this board or anybody from the municipal authority was directed to hold that meeting, and it was an absolute no. So
Okay.
I'm wondering.
This was held by the residents, so it was not set up. And the supervisors were invited just to hear. as well as the municipal authority, but they didn't vote at their last meeting to go to the meeting, so they didn't show up, or they weren't present. So it was just simply a meeting for the residents.
But that's, okay, so just
You
for-
have your opinion, but that was
It's not
why
an
it was set up.
opinion. Erica, that's not an opinion. The fact is, you held a meeting in Lawrence where you led it, you didn't invite all the community, and you put yourself
Who
in-
said I didn't invite all the community?
You just did.
We
You
don't
just
know.
did.
Yeah, if they saw a flyer at the post office, they were invited. If they got a flyer at their door, they were invited. I reached out by telephone. There were a number of numbers that were not located or incorrect numbers through my efforts to try and get these people to call the municipal authority.
But my point,
So out of
Eric,
about 300 residents, 21 showed up.
but my point, Eric, is first, you were not specifically asked by a member of the municipal authority to
Yeah,
do
you
that.
could listen to the meeting, and Tom and I said that we would assist, and they says, okay. Is that correct, Tom?
I think,
Did you lose him?
yep, he hung up.
So it was at the last month's municipal authority meeting that we attended.
But Eric, again, I asked multiple members of the municipal authority, and they said that you were not asked to intervene.
The
And-
public was having that meeting, and I simply went to coordinate the efforts of the meeting and to keep peace, because Jim O'Brien ended up and wasn't able to attend.
Who's Jim O'Brien?
Pastor Jim O'Brien,
Oh, Pastor.
a
Jim.
leader in the community.
But you said you called, but what about the people who didn't see the flyer?
So Tom was making calls, I made some calls, and we got a hold of people, and we got a lot of things corrected. They had 49 when the house address was 43. They had a wrong number and didn't have the number of the person's, their phone number. So we had 3 at the meeting that were, that needed to call right away, or else they were gonna get put on another list. And it was just a simple information they had to get back to the municipal authority. So it worked out well, I believe.
I think you have to be cautious putting yourself in a position where you're advocating for or against.
No, I'm looking out for
somebody's-
the residents, and that's it, taking care of my people, our people.
Well, first off, you should absolutely be aware, there's no money to do a stormwater project. We got 2 landslides we gotta fix yet. We gotta put in 2 bridges this year.
Right. We have it
Money's just
investigated.
not there. If you wanna do a stormwater management, you tell these people right now, they're gonna get a tax increase.
The other was 20 to 1 that the municipal authority, the residents desire to have a meeting within a couple of months with the municipal authority. So that was just one other item that was voted on, or that the public would like to see an official meeting from the municipal authority with the residents of Lawrence.
Eric, I'm not a mathematician, but I can tell you that 20 people out of 60 that they owe, or out of the hundreds that are in Lawrence, are not
300.
are not a fair population sample.
Okay.
So I appreciate the effort.
I understand. Well, we did our best, and I believe we got those that we're gonna call the municipal authority. We have how many residents? 12,800, and this is how many we have showed up? Is this a good representation of Cecil Township?
But I didn't ask anybody to raise their hand and
Okay.
vote.
Very well. You're entitled to your opinion.
Okay. If there's no more questions or. Oh, sorry. You were hiding over there.
Hiding? Hard for me to hide. My name's Dale DeLugas. I'm a resident of Windsor Woods, and I want to talk about the opportunity the township has to eliminate a kind of a dangerous situation on North Papioli Road before it gets the final paving done that's coming, should be coming up very shortly. Range provided manual traffic control through the major time frame that they had trucks in and out and whatever. That truck volume has regressed to the point that it's only a few a day here and there.
Can I stop you for 1 second? Can you hear what he's saying? Can you make sure that microphone's on? Sorry.
Okay. In any event, the truck traffic is down to just several a day, and they've eliminated the manual control, and that controlled it such that when the trucks were using the roadway, general traffic was not. Now that, that they've eliminated that, we, in our general traffic flow, has to share the road with whatever trucks are coming in there. And that's a very tight situation. One area in particular is where you have 3 driveways coming into North Deep Paoli. There's a earthen berm which forms a curve in the road right in that general area. And with the roadway width as it exists right now, I'm not sure it's even possible to pass an oncoming truck with the roadway. But even if it is, that berm precludes sight distance. You can't even see a truck coming at you in the other side of the road until it's right on top of you because of that berm. So I'm suggesting that the opportunity exists to eliminate that berm now, which would do several things. One, it would allow for probably 75 yards or so, maybe up to 100 yards of sight distance so that you can see a truck coming at you and have the opportunity to react accordingly. And also, if that berm is gone, it allows the opportunity to basically minimize the curve in the road at that point, and you could pave significantly wider traffic lane to allow for those trucks on the curve to pass much more safely. There's another area that can use a little bit of earthwork also, and it occurs at the point where Verizon moved their pole, and they moved it, I guess, as far east as they could move it and still allow for the cabling and everything to occur through the tunnel. But that still has an earthen berm at its base of it, and that precludes you from widening the road to that extent up to the pole. And without being able to do that, the work that was done in the tunnel really has no bearing, because once you come out of the widened area of the tunnel, you run right into the pinch point with the pole, unless you can widen the road at that point up to the pole. So there's 2 options there, but one, the significant one, is on that curve, and that is a dangerous situation there, in my opinion. And also, that should be done, if it is going to be done, should be done prior to the final paving that Range is going to do there.
Sorry, I'm ready now. Phil, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, let me just speak to that. That's an ongoing project that we just got back into. We waited for the heavy vehicle traffics to do what they had to do up there, and the traffic control to move out. The township was committed to widening the area under the tunnel, which we have done. We've completed that. That's going to allow for the realignment of the first driveway and pinch it closer to the abutment. Joe Seitz and I have been working on this. We currently have an agreement out for signature to acquire an easement on the lower end so that we can shift North DePauli to the left side about 6 feet to improve the sight distance looking right. So the project's ongoing. We haven't, I mean, that was the first phase, was we completed our work under the tunnel and widened that in there, and that will allow for that driveway to be pushed over. And I think total, Joe, we're looking to gain about 4 feet of width through that area. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Yeah, so that project's ongoing. We've been in contact with Range, and we're coordinating that work activity.
All right, so you're going to be able to take care of that pinch point then at the pole?
Well, the pinch point at the pole is going to be, the road will be widened about 4 feet there.
Okay, so that probably is something that works in conjunction with the widening of the road within the
Yes.
tunnel.
Yes. When we widened that in the tunnel, that was to allow for his driveway to be shifted over towards the abutment, the face of the abutment.
All right,
So that radius comes in there right now. We're gonna shift that over towards the face of the abutment so that we have enough room to widen that road about 4 feet coming out of that tunnel towards, what is that, King Edward's Drive up there, something like that. I think that's Sir Edward. So heading
King
that.
Edwards is the one that goes into Windsor
Yeah,
Woods.
so we have that in drainage also that's supposed to be completed on that project. That's going to be done, I believe, Joe, that work's done by, going to be done by Range's contractor, correct? It is. Okay.
Have you looked at that curve, though, because that's the more critical area there? In between the three driveways, there's an earthen berm that forms that curve. That has a stake in the ground there, which I think possibly could reflect where the right-of-way is.
That is our right-of-way right there.
Then you could take that berm back to that right-of-way, allowing for a considerable sight distance benefit.
Yeah, there's some coordination necessary with the property owners right there.
Well, you have the right-of-way, right?
We do, but we also have to consider their access to the roadway from their driveway, the ingress, egress out of their property. So that was something that we've been working on with them. Joe, do you want to speak to that?
I think you covered it all, we're just waiting for,
Yeah,
for
so,
get Range to be scheduled there with their contractor
For the paving?
for the paving and the additional work to finish it up.
Right. Well, this earthwork probably would be the requirement of the township, I would think.
We have to meet with Range out there to get the final alignment established before they pave. That may involve some earthwork.
Okay, I'm just suggesting you really should look at that curve because it's very dangerous. Some of those trucks are monsters. They don't have that many trucks coming in, but the ones they do are bringing equipment in and out to the pad. And those trucks are considerable. And trying to pass that truck coming at you on that curve is very dangerous.
so one of the considerations, and where you're seeing those pins out there, is the edge of our right-of-way. One of the considerations is the elevation difference between the roadway and the top of their driveway.
You're talking about the concrete driveway.
Yes,
That one is a problem, no doubt.
yes. So, yeah, that's the one that we've been wrestling with, and, you know, it's, the elevation, the transition for that would give him a very steep driveway. And so Joe has talked to him several times, and we still have not come to a formal agreement with that property owner.
Well, that earthen berm really doesn't impact that driveway situation farther up the hill. With or without a change to that driveway, you could take out considerable of that earthen berm, allow for a good sight line, and actually widen, eliminate some of the curve.
I think I know what he means, Bill. If you take a ride up, I can change.
Joe, is he talking about at the Birdie driveway?
Yeah, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I mean, we can only go so far back on that. I mean, where
Like I
that,
said, there's a stake in the ground there right now. And I'm hoping that that does reflect your right-of-way. And if it does, you can take out a considerable piece there and allow for that site.
let me just get real clear in my mind as to where you're talking to, the earthen berm. Coming through the tunnel, are you talking about the first driveway right there?
No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about farther up the hill,
Where the concrete driveway's at?
the curve in the roadway.
Right. Right, that's what we were looking at. That's the,
Probably the most dangerous point in
Yes.
all of North Paoli.
right,
Is on that curve.
right. Yeah, that's the issue we have with the elevation change in his driveway. The grade that we have to set his driveway at in order to transition onto the road.
Down the hill, which from where I'm talking. driveway you're talking, the concrete drive, is farther down the hill from where that curve occurs.
You're talking above the concrete driveway.
Yes.
We'll have to look at that. I'm not
So,
familiar with it.
so let's do this. So they have clarification. Can you give Bill your contact information? He'll go up tomorrow or the next day or so and take a look at it and then confirm with you what you're talking about. I don't know if you actually know this, but Laurel Zimba from Range is our local government representative. I saw her over there furiously writing some notes down. So we will coordinate with them too on anything that they can do to help us out with that situation, and we'll work with Bill and our engineers to try to get this fixed for. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yes. During the recent flooding, I want to thank our road department, our firemen, and our police department. The policemen actually went in water 3 to 4 foot deeper to rescue people out of their cars. And you guys all did a great job, and I know you put a lot of hours in.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay, I got a question on the agreement you guys made with Range.
Can you, for some reason?
How's that?
Yeah, thank
The
you.
agreement you guys made with Range, now, does that affect the Connor Samuel well too?
Not right now, not going forward, because that is still an active litigation, but there is the potential for.
You're still in litigation over the Connor Samuel well?
This one was just specific to Bernard Schultz.
But did you not lose on the Schultz well?
No,
Well, you did, that's why you filed an appeal.
no, well, the Range filed an appeal as well. We won some, we lost some, they won some, they lost some. It was,
I kind of know how many you lost, but okay, but that's here and there. So that has no effect. See, I had heard different things where this would cover all the wells.
no, this was specific to the Schultz Bernard. Like I said, that does not mean there isn't the potential for future working things out in the future, but this, what was voted on this evening was specific to Schultz Bernard.
Well, let me ask you this, if Range would come in and apply for a permit, since that last time it ended in a draw, basically, would you give them a permit?
I can't answer that general
I
question.
thought this was going to be a standard for all
Yeah,
wells now.
He said he thought this was a standard.
Yeah,
Remember we talked about,
that's what we had agreed to at the meeting, correct?
no, so in order for this to be a standard, and jump in at any point, in order for this to be a standard for all wells going forward, we have to make a change to our ordinance. We would have to start that process along. This, what was voted on tonight and what was agreed on at Schultz Bernard is specific to Schultz Bernard. Now, does that mean that we can work that out going forward on other well pads? Yes, probably, but there's nothing set in stone tonight when we walk out the door for for other well pads.
So what is the litigation going on now for the Connor Samuel well? What is that about?
You want to answer that?
So the Connor Samuel well pad was a denial, a conditional use denial.
Right.
This particular well pad was an approval, conditional use approval with conditions.
I understand that.
The actual conditions were appealed. So the current stance of that well pad is a denial. Range appealed the denial, and we're before the judge. And the judge actually bifurcated the issue into a due process component, which we're waiting to hear from the judge on that decision. Once she makes a decision on that, then we'll brief and decide the merits of the denial.
Yes.
So that's the posture of
But
that.
the merits are the conditions, right?
Yeah.
That,
No, because it was denied, there were no conditions placed on it over and above what's in the ordinance. Because it was just straight up denied, as opposed to approved with conditions. So they kind of sat, at a different procedural posture. One was an approval, one was a denial.
okay. I was just under the impression this was a cover-all agreement.
No.
So I was misinformed.
I wouldn't say you were misinformed. There is the potential for that to happen in the future. And without speaking out of turn, we're in a good place. And I see the potential of being able to work things out in the future. But what was voted on tonight and what was negotiated in that is specific to Schultz Bernard.
But you understand my frustration. I've been coming to these meetings for 10 years at least. This started 15 years ago. And there's always seemed to be a stall tactic or whatever you want to call it. it just keeps dragging and dragging. So now you're telling me we're gonna go through this crap again. It's probably gonna be potential 2-3 more years.
I wouldn't say that.
I know you can't answer that, but
I just said I wouldn't say
we
that.
know I mean, that's how it happens every time we go through this.
Again, I don't want to speak out of turn. I don't want to speak because the board hasn't taken any votes, but we're heading in the right direction. Let's put it that way.
Well, maybe you better talk with your fellow supervisor a little bit more, because I was under the impression this wasn't the way it was gonna go.
Yeah, I can't.
Okay, well,
Sorry. Thank you.
I'll wait again.
Anybody else before we close the meeting?
Hi, Michelle Stonemark, 40 North DePauli. I actually had written down just that very subject about the Schultz-Bernard pad. I was really happy to hear that you guys sat down and negotiated with them. I was really happy to hear, especially in response to some of the air quality conditions, I was really happy to hear that you guys got them to agree to that stuff. I feel like so many of those conditions that you guys added that they finally agreed to have been, you know, what's been, you know, sort of a crawl on my side, whatever the saying is. It's sort of what's been bothering me for years and years and years is the lack of conditions that, you know, Range is held responsible for. So kudos, thank you guys for taking the time to sit down with them. Thank you for coming to an agreement that makes sense for both sides. That being said, that's my whole point of coming up tonight was I would, at this point, highly encourage you to use those conditions that you guys agreed to and update our 10-year-old ordinance, because going forward, we have no other basis. We can't make a next well pad based on what we agreed to on this well pad, because every well pad is different in location and every well pad is different, you know, in geography. You know, I could go on and on and on, but I would highly encourage you guys at this point, since we are in a good place, you know, between the township and Range, that we sit down and update our ordinance so that everyone is in a much happier place.
So, I mean, you can speak about this here. That is the direction we're headed. So in order to make these conditions that we've kind of agreed to, and we've had this brief conversation, we being me, and Supervisor Flair and Supervisor Castillo, we are in a good place, and I see a good future working relationship where, you know, with them, as long as things can center, and that, I'll just call you out. This goes a lot to that woman right there who has been phenomenal to us. How long have you been with us? As our 9 months now? 9 months as our local government representative. If I call and there's a complaint or an issue, she doesn't brush me off. She doesn't brush any of the rest of us off. She takes it seriously and she gets it
Which
fixed.
I really appreciate, by the way. Thank you.
Her name is Laurel, and she's phenomenal. So as long as she wants to stick around with us, I see great things happening in the future.
Awesome.
I think the previous Jocelyn did a very good job as well, though.
I would disagree with that statement.
I mean, you can't expect her to return a call that's sent to her voicemail at Saturday, you know. She did a good job.
I don't want to.
I disagree with that statement.
I'm not.
I think Laurel's doing a great job. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. Okay, thank you. Anybody else before we close this meeting? This meeting is officially closed and adjourned. Thank you.